And I'll let our assistant know also that this recording is being made available for you guys. So here's the thing. Whenever you have contacts in iPhone, with Android, it's very easy. So if you have a smartphone and it's an Android, most of your stuff is backed up already in Android contacts, and it's easy to either manage directly through Google or it's easy to export directly to Google. With an iPhone, everything is done through vCards. And so I have to physically go to iCloud.com, right? I then have to log in and I have to go to my contacts within iCloud. Once I'm in iCloud and all the contacts, which is a terrible, I love Apple, guys. It is a terrible platform for contact management, right? I've got all my contacts here. There's this little tiny icon right here with 3 dots in the circle. I'm going to click it and it says select all contacts. Okay. I'm then going to go right over here. It looks like the little folder to share with the arrow that points up. I'm going to click that and I'm going to click export vCards. What it's going to do is it's going to export then an actual file of vCards to my desktop, which I've already completed. Okay. It takes about, depending on how many contacts, because I've got 7,500 contacts here, it takes about 10 minutes for that to download. All right. I then am going to go into Google because I want to be able to get things into an actual like Excel or CSV format. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Google. I'm going to go right to this little contacts section of Google. So contacts.google.com. And I'm going to go import. So you do need a Google email address or Google account, which is free, in order to convert from vCard to Excel. Okay. I'm going to go import. It's going to ask me to select file. I'm going to go and select the file that has that 7,000 people, and I'm going to push open, and it's going to basically import all of those contacts right here into my database. Now you're going to notice I've got a ton of doubles. In fact, a ton of doubles. In fact, almost every single name is a double. So how do I make sure that the doubles are gone? Well, I would love to say that it's super, super easy to just click on a button and remove the duplicates. Sometimes it works under the merge and fix. It'll say, do you want to remove your duplicates? You'll hit yes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For me, it did not work on this import, which is great for my preview for you guys because I can show you then what to do. So now I'm going to go up here. I'm going to basically export all of these contacts, all of them. So I'm going to export them here. It says contacts, all of them. I want to export it into a Google CSV file, and I'm going to click export. It's again going to download onto my computer all of these contacts now into a CSV file format, okay, which has already been done. I now want to go into Google one more time, and this is where it gets annoying, okay? I'm going to go into my Google Drive. I am going to open a new Google Sheet. And this is recorded so you guys can watch this through. I am now going to go to Insert. Sorry, File. And I'm going to go to, whoops, Import. It gives me a couple different versions of where I want to pull the file for. I want to upload the file because it's on my desktop. And it's right here under Contacts CSV. And I'm going to hit Open. Now it's going to take a second. I want to import all of this data. I'm not changing anything in regards to the automatic settings. It now downloaded 7,900 and some contacts. Let's go all the way down here. Let's see here, 6,983 contacts onto this Google Sheet. Now, we know that there are duplicates. Most duplicates will be addressed based on the first names. So in order for me to start to now move my kind of contact list around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock the very first row. So I'm going to highlight the first row. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go down here where it says view more row actions. And there's something that says freeze up to row 1. It now locks it so that the title bar doesn't end up getting reorganized if I start to filter different columns. Okay. Again, if you are not tech savvy, that is okay. You can watch this a million times. You'll also notice that there are about 30 like reference columns, of which I don't need 30 reference columns, but I'm not going to start to delete columns just yet. because I want to get rid of the 6,900 people that are on this list, right? So I'm going to just highlight columns A, B, and C. And I'm going to go up here where it says data. And I'm going to choose data cleanup, remove duplicates. I'm going to say remove duplicates. It says there are 3,448 duplicates that have been found and removed. And it says now there are 3,500 unique rows that still exist. So I said, okay. Now, I've got to look at this because most of this does not necessarily give me phone numbers. In fact, I don't even get a phone number label until over here in column Z and A. I am going to go to column Z and A. This one says label. Looks like it tells me if it's a main line, a cell phone number, etc. I'm going to go to this one that says value in column double A, and I'm going to sort A to Z. All I did now was I took all of the contact names that actually have any phone number whatsoever, and I put it towards the top. I can now scroll down here, guys. And when this column stops having data, which you're going to see right around probably 800. Let's see here. Right there. From contact 873 and below, I have no phone number. So that means that out of the 7,000 people I originally had, we're down to like 3,000. I can now get this down to about 870 names. Yours will be less because I can promise you your phone is not as much of a disaster as mine is. And so I'm going to go ahead and delete all the other rows. I am now left with contacts, guys, that I actually have a phone number for. Okay. Now, out of these 800 contacts, what do we do? How do I know which ones are in my region, in my area? I've got agents and people, guys, that I've met all over the country. Like, how do I know if these are actual social sphere type people, right? Like, there are big gaps in some of these where there's not even names. So now I'm gonna start to continue to kind of wean this down. I'm gonna go to first name. If I don't have your first name, so sort A to Z. If I don't have your first name, so let's go all the way down until I start losing names. So from contact 427 below, I have no name. So I'm just going to delete all of those people because I physically don't have a person. They were all companies. I'm now left with 400 names, guys. I'm going to now go through these 400 people, and I'll probably do about 100 people a day. So over the next 4 days, I'm going to go through these, and I'm going to pick out the ones that need to be deleted that aren't in my area. If I don't know who they are, maybe I leave them and give them a call and be like, how do I know you? But even if it takes you 2 weeks to scrub through your data, to fill in missing blanks, like if I don't have an email address on somebody, one of my main things that I'm going to do when I call them is to see if I can get an email address. You might decide, hey, if I don't have an email and a phone number from you, I don't want to talk to you at all. So then I would go right to this email value one. I'm going to go right here, sort A to Z. This is going to be the list of only people I have emails from. We already know everybody here has phone numbers. This stops at 98. 98 people I have email and phone numbers for, and I could delete everybody else if I wanted to just by deleting the remainder of the columns. Okay. So that sourced us, guys, in less than, it took me about 11 minutes, right, to source from 7,000 contacts down to 97 contacts that now I could go through and figure out which one of these people are individuals within my social sphere, right? Questions so far? I'm going to stop my share for just a minute.
Do you typically recommend that those that don't have a phone number and email be people we don't focus on, or we are going to cherry pick and then maybe add missing information?
So I'm going to add missing information because really, honestly, what I would like to do, especially if I have multiple sources that I'm pulling from. So if you decide, Mike, I'm going to scrape my LinkedIn and I'm going to pull my Facebook and I'm going to pull my cell phone and I'm going to put them all into Page, right? I obviously want phone number. That is the most critical, right? I need phone number. So for me, if I don't have a phone number for you, it's out the door. It means that you and I did not connect in an important manner to the point that I would call you sphere of influence, right? So if I don't have your phone number, you're off the list. But if I don't have your email address, I don't necessarily count you out. Does that make sense? Because that's something that I can gather. If I met you at a networking event, and I didn't get your card, and I just shot you a quick text with my name and you gave me your phone number, that's the most efficient way anyways. You're getting into my sphere of influence. And then I'm going to get an email from you through conversation and the next time that I talk with you, or maybe the next 5 times I talk with you. But I will highlight that missing information so that when they come up on my call sheet, I know that I don't have an email address from them. Does that make sense?
Yes. And then
go ahead.
So if you end up with less than 250 after you do all of that, are you then focusing on, I know you mentioned that it might switch to like now you're focusing on networking, but do you add contacts from just canvassing to here, or is that a separate sort of?
Look at it this way. If I know I want to get to 250 and I want to get to 250 as fast as possible, right? I can only do so much with networking. So let's say on a big week of networking, maybe I can meet 10 people, right? 10 people networking where I'm able to exchange contact information. I'm going to call you now a part of my sphere of influence. You're going to end up now on my call list and a part of my outreach schedule every 6 to 8 weeks, year after year after year, right? That only is going to add about 40 contacts a month. And so it could take me, right, 2 to 3 months of really active networking in order to get my list up to, right, that 250 mark. After that, here's your goal: 4 contacts a week. 4. That's your growth objective. 4 contacts a week. Now, there's going to be weeks where you do 2. There's going to be weeks where you do 6. But if you are not meeting new people, guys, at a growth rate of about 4 people a week, you're also going to be losing people in the list to other agents, other opportunities. People are going to move. People, like, you also are going to have a depleting sphere of influence over time. Okay. Even though you still know them, it's going to be a depleting opportunity sphere of influence. So you've got to be adding to that list. But if I don't have 250 people, then my target is no longer 4 a week. It's like 10 a week. It's like 12 a week. It's like get out there and like really meet people so that I can get up to my target number. Because at 10 outreaches every single day, I'm going to go through about somewhere between 50 and maybe 40, depending on if I have bad days, 40 and 50 people a week. That means about every 5 to 6 weeks, I'm touching my list, right? As you get up 300 mark, it pushes that out to then 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. And you guys can kind of see how that then starts to push up the thermometer a little bit as far as being able to get to them as often as I want to get to them.
And no agents should be on this list, I'm assuming, for the purpose of referrals, or is that?
Not for the purpose of sphere of influence. Like, there are other mediums that we can talk about. Like when we say, okay, hey, Mike, I have no deals right now and I need to fill 40 hours of my week creating revenue and growth. Like, outreach to sphere of influence is one thing, right? Going through my sphere of influence of other agents and referrals is one thing. Like, there are multiple things that we can do here. But in regards to sphere of influence, agents are not a part of that. Let me call on Wendy. Wendy, you had your first hand up. I'm going to go in line. If you can, guys, put your hand up by using your little 3 dots on your icon, and just raise your hand. I think you can also do it in your toolbar at the base of your desktop. Wendy, go ahead. What's your question,
Hi.
love?
Thanks, Mike. By the way, this is probably the best system I've ever seen for scrubbing a database in the 21 years I've been an agent. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate that. And this question might be a little ahead of the game, but I understand and appreciate what you've talked about. But moving forward, 12 weeks from now, how do we go about, or do we not, clean up our CRM database in Compass? Because we're doing a lot of this work. Is there a way that all this work that we do in this Google
100%
is going to help us? I just want to know the end game.
If I feel like my CRM right now is filled with dead or unrelatable data, meaning like, let's say it's got 3,000 people in it, etc., it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? And this is why I said my call lists, my direct outreach lists are a little bit different than my CRM. My CRM has the ability to send emails. It has the ability to reach contact points that I don't necessarily, I might not be able to reach out to via the phone. It might be able to target them on Facebook through ads or through mailers or things of that nature, depending on like the sourced information. So I do have to take into consideration that the CRM itself has a greater power to reach a bigger number than what my call list has, right? And so if though I feel like I need to scrub both, I want to scrub my contacts first. I want to then export my CRM data from Compass onto a CSV and then figure out how do I put them all together, then put it back into the CRM so that it is one big full picture.
Thank you.
You bet. Carol, go ahead.
Oh, my question was, since when you get your phone, they usually attach it to your personal Gmail account. And when you're pulling all the contacts off the phone, is that all your only option is to get it into your personal Gmail account as opposed to your Compass Gmail account? Or
So both of them have a contact section that you can export from. So for instance, like I have probably 7 Gmail accounts, right? If I were to log into each of those accounts and go into like the contact section, there's likely some contacts that I've saved in there, depending on how I set it up when I first launched that email. I will tell you that I don't keep contact information when I set up a Gmail account within that account. So I physically have to like import it if it's going to be in there. That might be different for your account. So yes, you could have 2 different sets of contact data based on those environments, and you'll be able to use that instructions sheet, that resource for either of those. Like you'll be able to understand how to export from a variety of different resources, but just know and set the expectation for yourself, right? That getting this done is going to be a headache. You're gonna express frustration, but it is a necessary curve for you to learn and to kind of bang through in order to really be able to run this fast and efficient throughout the year and have a system that's going to work. Like, guys, I'm telling you, if there was one magic secret bullet that stops the majority of real estate agents from being successful in the industry, it is literally this topic that we're discussing right now.
so one more thing is I use my Compass Gmail, but I do have an Outlook account. And the only thing going into that Outlook account is my Compass mail. They're linked together. So on that export, there was an option to go to Outlook. Is that all right?
I mean,
or not?
Yeah, 100%. It's more about like, for me, the Google CSV file is just a format. So when it exports, I just want a format that I can then work from. And so if you can work from it in Outlook, which I've never worked from it in Outlook, great. But I can tell you a CSV or an Excel file is so much easier for me to delete columns and organize efficiently to then import back into any system.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. May.
Yeah, so I know you gave it to us in a PDF, but is it
You can see.
step by step?
It
Okay,
is, like, as far as like, what does it look like?
this is one of the things, this and time blocking. And if you could give a session on time blocking or something, Sherrod, I will send a letter to Sherrod, an email.
So here, I'll show it to you again. It is a step-by-step for the exports.
And I can download it and print it out and just do it.
100%. I want to say they've uploaded this in a PDF format to your resources, where
Okay.
the actual advanced, and it might be a Word doc format, I'm not sure. But it gives you step-by-steps, and there's actually an article. So for those of you that are using iPhone,
Yes.
Apple's made this even more constrictive than Android has. But there is a link to an article that shows you exactly 3 different ways to convert your vCard file, which is a VCF file, to an actual Excel file or a CSV file.
Oh,
We'll
so many,
walk you through this.
so many letters for files.
And I'll tell you, there's only really one that you need to know, and that's CSV when it comes to
that I
contact reports.
I agree. I agree.
Okay.
That much I know. That much.
Wayne Miller, my friend, San Diego.
Oh,
What's
mine
going
went
on?
down.
Hey, how are you? You kind of got distracted when you were explaining why 250
Oh.
is the number.
Mine, huh?
Thank you. Nomita, I'll come right back to you. Hold on real
Yeah.
quick.
Okay.
So yes, 250 I don't want to obviously be contacting people every 2 weeks, right? So like if I don't have 250 contacts, that 5 to 6 week mark needs to be where I stop in regards to like repeating data. So let's say I have 100 people right on my list. Let's say that's all I'm at today is 100 people. I think that's a good number for us to use. If I call 5 a day, that's 50 a week, or I'm sorry, that's 25 a week, which means that in 4 weeks, I'm at 100. That's probably right on the barrier of too often if I'm calling them once a month now and trying to refuse. I know it doesn't feel like much of a difference between 4 weeks and 6 weeks, but it actually makes a big difference in regards to the mental relapse of that. And so I really want to target that 6 week mark or 5 to 6 week mark of repeat business. And I want you to get to 10 outreaches a day because it's the volume that's necessary in order to convert and actually grow a business. And I can give you some actual metrics that have been studied. At an outreach volume of 10 outreaches per day. Okay, you guys ready for this? Obviously, with good messaging and good beingness and putting together an objective to reach people via social media and all the other things that you're doing. But with the call volume of 10 a day, you should be able to increase your business by $100,000 in GCI, 100,000 in 12 months, and roughly $250,000 in GCI by a 24-month mark. So I've been looking at it as, okay, how can I have an exponential growth? If I'm less than that, does it mean that I won't grow? Of course not, right? But I have found that if we have a number that we're all shooting for, that I have metrics on, that I know grows a business, it tends to just bode well for our training. It also helps me stay within a pattern of creating a habit, because if I'm not making that number of calls or that number of frequency, which is 5 days a week, guys, 5 days a week, I'm not reaching the 66 repetitions very quickly in order to create a habit, right? Where like, if I'm only doing prospecting, guys, twice a week, do you know how many weeks it's going to take for you to build a habit? It's going to take 30 some weeks. That's more than half the year. You're going to bail on that before that happens. Okay. So you've got to be putting in prospecting 5 days a week. Marina, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what, Marina? Hold off real quick because Nomita's hand got lowered and Nomita's like, I got a question.
Yes, actually, it's a two-part question. One is,
Okay.
I just want to clarify, when you're talking of SOI, it's not including the past clients. That's, you said, is a totally different thing for the outreach. It's not outreach.
Sphere of influence in regards to the 250 people, I don't want to include the actual past clients.
Okay, that's my
I'm going to
clarification.
be pulling those out.
Okay,
They are a part of your sphere of influence.
Yeah. Well,
but
I
that
have them as
250
separate category.
It's a separate campaign.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah. My other thing is, a whole bunch of my contacts from my iPhone disappeared because we were with a different company, and then it was on an Exchange server, and so it was all gone. The tech guy was able to transfer it to me in an Excel sort of what you're talking about,
CSV file format. Yep.
So how do I now, I said, cut through that and make it the way you say? How would I be able to convert that into those 8 columns like to start with?
You're going to have to open up that CSV file. Okay. And this is for everybody. So keep in mind that like when you export from LinkedIn, it's different file headers, right? Like the actual column headers have different titles than Google or than iPhone or than vCard. Like they all have different headers. So I'm going to open them up on 3 different sheets, right? Every source, I'm going to go through that independent source and get it down. And then I'm going to take the columns that are pretty much standard, first name, last name, email address, phone, and I'm going to combine them. But you're going to have to open up that CSV file that person sent you and start to eliminate some of the columns that are really non-essential for you to run through and scrub your list. Then take the name, first name, last name, email, phone number, and maybe any other identifier that you want to pull over and add it to another list without copying over just the column header. And I
So-
can probably run through, guys, throughout like this next 12 weeks. We'll look at me just doing like a recording of scrubbing, because I realize that everybody's tech knowledge and ability is different and it deviates. So let's hold off on continuing that conversation, Omida, but I've got notes on that to continue our learning in that environment. Okay. Marina, go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mariana.
Hi. Okay. So in the main call, you mentioned something earlier about doing outreach and then leaving voicemails. And Chirag has mentioned in the past, like a program that just leaves voicemails directly without calling. Is that something that you use as part of prospecting, or are you talking in this case real-time calls?
I'm a real-time caller. Now,
Okay.
slide broadcast, which is what Chirag is talking about, it is a technology that is out there that allows me to drop a voicemail. It shows a single ring on the phone, and then it drops a voicemail right into the voicemail deck.
What did you say?
It's called slide broadcast. I'll put it in the chat for you.
Thank you.
So how does it start?
Slide broadcast, all one word.com.
Okay.
No,
I've been using slide dial, slide broadcast, slide text. They have all different types. Diana's correct. I've been using slide broadcast for probably about 4 years. It's fine. The issue that I have with it, and it just launched an AI version where you can now input first names within the data block. It will record your voice. It has you like record an entire sentence. And then when it leaves the voicemail, it'll say, "Hey, Wayne," in an AI, your voice, but without you having to say, "Hey, Wayne." And then it'll play the rest of your message. But if you're not used to that, it comes off sounding like you're leaving a group message. So there's a finesse to it, because I gotta almost make it sound like, "Hey, it's Mike. I'm just following." It's got to sound like I personalized this voicemail for just you for 30 people. And know that when they start to call back, you also have to be in a position now to handle those phone calls, because now all of these people get the call all at once. So I am still a dial in real time, because listen, 10 dials is not a lot. I'm going to leave a personal voicemail, and it might be personalized to that person. Like, hey, I know we talked at the What's It Call It event. I'd love to chat with you about X. And I'm very specific about what it is that I want to chat about. I'm going to finish those 10 voicemails, and then I'm going to go right into chat. I'm going to send 10 text messages to every single one of those people, right? And it says, "Hey, just left you a voicemail. Would love to chat with you about X." And it serves as what's called a bumper, right? So in email marketing, we use slide broadcast a lot as a bumper, where I'll send out an email blast to 3,000 people, and then you'll get a voicemail from us that says, "Hey, we just sent you an email. Make sure you check it out because it's got this information." Like, it's a good way to then create a higher conversion rate.
Is that
So
a sort
I
of
will
campaign
talk
that you're
more
going to go
about that
over?
as we get into the campaigns, though.
Okay, so you are going to go through
Yes,
actual campaigns that we
100%.
Okay.
You bet.
And teach us how to use slide, all of that.
I'll be showing you a couple different things. Like slide broadcast would be like a whole session, but that might be another one where I can they have so many great recorded videos,
Yeah.
like demonstrations on their site too, or that you can find online, that it's honestly easier for the pros to do it than for me to do it.
I have a question about the actual database.
Hold on real quick, because I've got 1, 2, 3
Okay.
people with their hands up. I'm not going to take any more hands up past Maria, but I will stay on to answer additional questions, guys. If you have to go, this is being recorded. Okay. Kevin Hoffman, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your
Okay.
patience.
Hey, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm on the website trying to understand where to find anything, the documents that you put in chat. I can't operate off of chat documents, because when the call's gone, I can't find them.
Got it.
And
So
but right now
like
I'm
where the
online, and I
resources
can't
are?
figure out where to find them online either. So
Hold on real quick. I'm going to actually ping.
Mike, that was going to be somewhat of my question. I actually went into the dashboard, because I think we really should be going in the dashboard looking for the
Yep.
things as you guys were talking about it. And in the content library is where we were told things
Yep.
should be. I put in the keyword exporting contacts. Nothing came up. So I'm assuming that's the same thing that Kevin was thinking. So they're not, it doesn't
Yeah.
appear to be there. Also, too, not sure where to find the recordings within.
Yeah, that's a
Tammy, you
challenge.
stole my whole question,
Yeah.
Tammy.
They're under the session when you go in the platform. They're
So
right
under
underneath
this
the session.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I've been going to this session, but that part I missed.
Yeah, if you go to the
You have to
session,
go
you
to
go to the
past
bottom.
sessions.
They're
What-
right-
And they're
at the
generally
bottom.
not posted
Too
until
many
after.
people
So
speaking
if
at
you
the
were
same
looking,
time. So where under the session is it?
Hold on,
when you
guys.
say-
Here, you guys won't even need to know because here's what we're gonna do. I just
Good.
sent our team admin assistant a message. She's gonna send out an email to everyone with specific instructions again of how to access the resources and the recordings of these sessions.
Thank God.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got
Thank
you.
you.
No worries. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, Maria, go ahead.
Me?
Oh, you're on mute, Maria.
Me?
Last year, I spent a bunch of time growing my database in Lincoln. So I have grown my database of about 2,000 people. It's people
Yeah.
that I haven't met. I don't know them. I just have posted. I have posted information that they felt like they wanted to be in my database. So how do I break from there?
So on the actual exporting of contacts, and this is LinkedIn does not make this super easy. Okay. But let me share my screen here because this is what your export will look like from LinkedIn. It's going to have the name of the person. It's then going to give you a link to the person's LinkedIn profile. So like this is all of my LinkedIn connections, right? Here's their company names, etc. But it does not give email addresses. It gives a few. And so all of that information, like if I want someone's phone number or the email, if they've made it available to people, I have to individually click on their LinkedIn profile. Like here's Ashley, head of Compass, who you guys know, or head of coaching. If I click more or contact info right here, it doesn't give a phone number, but it gives her email address, right? There are a lot of contacts that have phone numbers in their profiles. The problem is that, let's say you've got 2,000 LinkedIn contacts. I want to be able to source them based on region. Like, are they actually in my state? Right. Yeah. And then I also want their cell phone and their email information. So I want you to write this word down. Mm-hmm. It's called scraping, scrapping, scraping. I don't know if it's two P's or one P. Mm-hmm. But LinkedIn actually offers several contractors where you can have them scrape the profile data information and actually produce a report that then has contact and email and demographic information if it's available from someone's profile without having to go through manual. I will tell you, it is not a low-tech process, which is why I'm not teaching it on these calls, because it requires a professional software and oftentimes a little bit of money for a month in order to accomplish that. But you can, guys, there are multiple, in fact, probably a dozen contractors out there that can scrape LinkedIn profile demographic information of your connections to be able to produce a calling report where it would have phone numbers and more categories for you.
Would you have a pitch for someone that is cold turkey?
Oh yeah. But like I said, I'm not going to just throw you one pitch today because we've got an entire session that is designed around conversation approaches, pitches, scripts, like what to say, why we're not saying certain things and what to avoid. Like, I'm not going to go into that today, but we'll absolutely be doing that. I want to say it's not next session, it's the session following. So 2 Wednesdays from now.
Okay. Beautiful.
Thank
you. And here's the other thing. I have a lot of contacts because I do, bounce around quite a bit.
Yeah.
So not everybody is someone I have talked to, but I'm very reluctant to get rid of my contacts. I feel like,
and I'm okay with that. So like, look at it this way, guys. If you've never talked to them, they're email. Mm-hmm. They are email mailers until that generates a conversation with them. Mm-hmm. If you run out of people and you're like, okay, I got room for another 10, 15 people, call them. Like, hey, I don't know you, but we connected on Facebook, Instagram. And my very first question is oftentimes, Maria, is it okay if I keep you within my sphere of influence and follow up with you every couple months just to see how things are going, et cetera? If their answer is no, cool, no worries. I appreciate that. Keep me in mind if ever you need X. That's it. Like, you can always get somebody into your sphere of influence by just asking permission, but I'm a big ask for permission kind of person because I'm looking for the no. I'm looking for the person that I can not focus on and spend time, because every time I go through 40 calls, guys, when I don't convert to an actual high impact activity, I'm frustrated. I'm like, man, is this just 40 people in my subject database that don't want to talk to me or that I've already, pushed away? So I want to get to knows. I want to get to people that are like, take me off your list. That is a great gift. And I want you guys to see it that way, because it begins to isolate the audience that wants to talk to you. Like, imagine doing 10 calls and having 10 great conversations every single day in real estate versus lots of voicemails, lots of empty responses, etc. Get to that group of people that love you and want to do business with you. All right. If you have any other questions, stay on, guys. If not, thank you for the extra time today. I know it's our first prospecting session. I will see you guys next Wednesday, and we will keep kicking butt on this topic.
Love just that. One quick question before I go, so I can start to actually scrub this list. So for the purpose of this list, and you said to take away past clients, I'm putting whoever is a lead or whoever I've spoken to in the past from my CRM or from my phone into this.
Yep. I want your entire body of people. And if I had to give it like categories, right? It's like friends, family. It's like anybody that if I saw you on the street, I would at least stop and say hi. Like, even if it's not a time relationship, I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? Mm-hmm. I want those people also.
And then once you connect with them, because I saw you had different tabs in that spreadsheet, that one is now a follow-up. At what point do they move over?
They move to follow-up when we actually end up hitting an activity item. And so what I'm going to be training prospecting on, guys, is how to get into what we call like assumable activities. So activities are things that move me to a next level of conversation with a general audience in person, right? So like if Jay, who's in Miami, is on my list and I'm calling people every day and I say, hey, Jay, it's Mike. I know you from the whatever. I have a quick question. Like, has anybody ever shown you how to run a quick investment report within your specific neighborhood? And Jay's like, no, actually, no one's ever showed me that. I'm like, cool. Would you be interested in me actually running one and showing that to you? Jay's like, yeah, I might actually be interested in that, but can we do this at another time? And he pushes me off, right? I have some information that I might be able to get into an activity that is going to allow me to talk more real estate specifics with Jay. Jay's now on a follow-up list. I'm calling him back now tomorrow and every single day following that for 5 days, right? The total length is 5 calls until I get a yes or a no from Jay. And we're going to talk about how those calls differentiate. Because we don't like redundancy. You're never going to hear me say, hey, I'm just following up or just circling back. You're dead in the water at that point, right? So we're going to talk about how to engage differently every single follow-up, but that would be like how I would be using that follow-up column, if that makes sense.
So one more question. So if you call everybody but your past clients, when do you reach for your past clients?
So my past clients are going to be on a completely different nurturing cycle. Some agents, guys, are very big on a different cycle for the very first 12 months or first 24 months post-sale than they are, year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. Like your first 2 years, and really it's the first 12 months, is your highest probability of receiving a referral from that particular client. Does that make sense? Right? And so that first 12 months, your volume of outreach to a client is going to be different than year 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right? You're also not going to have 3,000 clients. If you do, then you have less problems than most of us do, right? In regards to what's on that particular list, but they begin to cycle through a different periodic touch point process. Some of them eventually will get moved back over to what? Sphere of influence. Like as soon as you hit that 4.5 to 5 year mark, which is like the average of what most people then move, like they're back on sphere of influence. They're back now on active prospecting. They're no longer now just past client, because there's a probability that you're going to be a new client again. Does that make sense? Yeah, Jay, go ahead.
I'm a new
To
agent
California.
and my sphere is very, very small. And they all know that I sell real estate. But I want to know, like, how can can I use Remine to get new like contacts?
Sure.
Like
Here's what I want you to answer this question internally. You don't have to answer it to me or to the audience. What stops you though from going gung-ho every single day and making 250 new contacts in the Miami region in the next 3 months?
I don't know how, but I would love to.
Okay. Okay. So that's perfect. That's a really, really honest answer. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. Most people, as soon as I hear them start saying, well, can I buy a list or can I get to these numbers, et cetera, guys, your conversion rate is so low, especially today, right? 10 years ago, when these first digital patterns were being taught, we could actually convert at a higher ratio than you can today. 10 years ago, you didn't have, when you opened up your phone, like I have 72 notifications on my phone since 11 o'clock. That's Instagram, that's emails, that's phone calls, that's text messages, that's GChat, that's Facebook, that's LinkedIn, that's all these things, right? This is now a really loud source. So any other digital contact that isn't a known source, a person, a human who you've connected with, right, is going to go into the breeze. The reason you guys are going to hear me say multiple modalities, and I'm going to be teaching this, so it's going to be redundant now in these sessions for you guys, is that if I miss a phone call from you, it's one thing, right? If I miss a text message from you, it's one thing. I see it later in the day and I'm like, oh, I'll get back to him tomorrow, but then I don't because it wasn't high urgency. When I miss a text message, I miss a phone call, and I got a voicemail from you, it's 3 things that I missed. Guess what happens just in the priority importance level because I missed 3 contacts from you? It goes right up the charts. It actually has a 5x increased probability of response when you use 2 modes of medium versus 1. So it's one of those situations where we've got to actually start to use multiple mediums just to get through this crowd loud thing. And it really only works when they know us, when they have an idea of who we are, not just cold. Cold just takes so much value, and there's a diminishing return on both cold and digital lead junctions. So if you want to build a sustainable business, guys, for the next 20 years, this is the way to do it. And I will teach you how to network, Jay.
Okay. Because
I got you there.
Right.
I got you there.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, I've got to time off because I have another call that I have to jump on. But thank you guys so much. We will look forward to seeing you guys next week. Great conversation. I will talk with you soon.